Maneco 64 here, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. Sunday, September 1st, 2019. I'm a little early, but I will, of course, wait for more viewers. We've got 19 viewers already, 11 thumbs up. So just want to ask the viewers now that if the volume is okay and if it's not buffering, please let me know. So yeah, the title of the live stream is to do with Warren Buffett's cash hoard, or Berkshire Hathaway's cash hoard of $112 billion, which is like 38% of the whole portfolio. So let's see who's here. Pat is here. Hi, Pat. Sounds good. No buffering. Volume is okay, and it's not buffering so far. Hard Rock, volume good. Regards from Oz. Kevin C. Good evening, Mario. Why isn't Buffett turning his fiat into gold? I don't know. I mean, apparently he's buying treasury bills. Keep it in treasury bills. I guess they're still yielding around 2%. All good. Evening all. Could be because of tax purposes, but he's never liked gold, Warren Buffett, which is ironic because his father, Howard Buffett, who was a congressman from Nebraska, wrote about how gold is so important for economic freedom. He wrote an article, I think in 1948, about that. Howard Buffett, you can Google it, you find it online. He was way ahead of Alan Greenspan. I think Alan Greenspan took a lot of his ideas from Howard Buffett's essay in 1948. Well, Warren Buffett, from what I read, by the way, I'll put this article here. I saw it on Zero Hedge a few days ago, and it's by, what's his name? Michael Snyder of the Economic Collapse blog. Some of you who haven't read it, here's the link to it. Basically, Warren Buffett says that he can't find any company that he wants to invest in right now. Pabar, good morning from Seattle. Hi, Pabar. So yeah, he's not making any purchases, Jeff Brown, and that's quite significant because Warren Buffett historically hates cash. He always wants to be invested in. Is it because he can't find anything? Or is it because he's concerned about a stock market correction? Who knows? But I would also say that Warren Buffett, back before and during the 08 crisis, they sold a lot of puts in the S&P. And they're puts that are, some of them are only expiring like in the mid-2020s. And when you sell puts, that means that you don't think the markets are going to go lower. But he raked in a lot of premium at the time. And as volatility has gone off, he's raked in billions of dollars doing that strategy. A lot of the puts expire this year in 2019. So it's difficult to tell, but I think it's not a good sign that someone who's been averse to having cash, for him, cash is almost like gold. Interesting to cover this. Hi, MMNO, nice to see you here. Who else is here? Michael Kobelecki. Hi, Michael. Pabar, doesn't Glint only have vaults in Switzerland? Does Glint only have vaults in Switzerland? Yeah, I think for now that's where they store the gold, in Switzerland. That might change, but they haven't told me otherwise. JB from Bristol. Hi, JB. The watcher thinks Buffett loves gold. He just publicly says he doesn't. Maybe. I mean, he bought a lot of silver back in the 90s, Warren Buffett. Someone saying, who is the fool who gave you a thumbs down? I don't know. Pat, with Trump and China increasing their tariffs starting today, should we break through 1560 and 1860 on the open tomorrow? Pat, I think that's that's not really big news, because it was already expected. If no deal came, if there wasn't any deal, and most people knew there wouldn't be any deal. So yeah, I think I saw some articles, pointing that out, but I think it's expected, so it shouldn't have an impact. Uh, as I've said in my last few videos, gold and silver have done really well, but things never go up in a straight line. But I still think we're going to go significantly higher until the end of the year. But it's difficult to tell in the short term where we're going. I noticed on Friday, gold got taken down, and also towards the end of the day in the US, when it was really thin, right at around, I think it was 10 p.m. London or 5 p.m. New York, on the close, on the Globex or Project A, Comex close, they just smashed it down. They painted the tape to keep it around 1520. It's annoying, but I think they're not going to succeed. David Stabler from Indiana. Hi, David. GTMKIV. Bellingham, Washington. Hi. Oh, it's buffering now, is it? Basil says, been watching your channel since the start of the year. Thanks for the heads up about the impending economic crash and info about Glint. Can you hear me at least, or is it still? Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on. I am connected directly to the modem here. I've got like a Ethernet cable, but 903 Bode. So how does Warren Buffett store $112 billion going to collapse? Well, the dollar is already collapsing versus gold. So I know the dollar is trading fairly strongly against the other fiat currencies, but the dollar has gone down about 20% already this year versus gold. Maybe he does have gold and silver. Who knows? Alistair McLeod wrote a good article on gold money reference backwardation. Yeah, backwardation is not a good sign for the the people that manipulate. There's not much enough supply of physical out there, so the bullion banks and the cartel, the gold cartel, is actually bidding up. They're paying more for spot gold than future in the future, so people can arbitrage. That's a bad sign for the scheme. But I haven't read McLeod's article. He's good, Alistair McLeod. I do read his stuff sometimes. Pablo Pina, how come Warren Buffett doesn't buy a ton of physical gold and silver? Yeah, I mean, he did buy silver a couple of decades ago. Buffett sold a load of gold to JP Morgan in 08. Attack helicopter. What's your thoughts on how the riots in Hong Kong and their effects on the Hong Kong exchange moving gold? Yeah, I have followed a little bit this weekend. I listened to We Are Change. Um, he's there in Hong Kong covering. I've read a few articles. Yeah, things are not good because Hong Kong is like with Singapore, very important financial centers for Asia. As for gold, I mean, it's an important market for gold, but I think Shanghai is important as well. So, Billy is here. Someone asked where my dog is. Here he is. He's asleep there as usual. Most people think Billy's always asleep, but he actually likes going out. When other dogs start barking, he wants to go out in the garden and join in. So he is quite active as well. Yeah, Pablo, it could be, for someone like Warren Buffett to hold 38% of Berkshire Hathaway's assets in gold, in cash, is quite significant. Scott D. Board, do you own any French gold roosters? The French gold coins? Yeah, I do have a couple. My wife, actually, we went to France years ago. I bought her a French gold coin ring that she has as well. Danny Djokovic, can Warren Buffett ask for physical delivery of $112 billion? No, I don't think he'll ask for that because Warren Buffett is part of the club, in my opinion. He's very well connected to Wall Street, to the U.S. government. And yeah, he doesn't want to rock the boat. The Watcher, Mario, have you seen the Kyle Bass interview with the Chinese billionaire? I saw like the thumbnail for it on YouTube, but I haven't listened to it. Same day car buyer. Warren Buffett doesn't buy gold because it doesn't yield anything. It's only a speculation that someone will pay. Well, gold is not a speculation at all. Gold is money, and it's been money for thousands of years. It's held its purchasing power better than any other currency. So I don't, and compared to 17 trillion of bonds out there, it's actually yielding nothing, but at least it doesn't give you a negative yield, right? So there's Billy. He's just got up. He's probably going to get down. Brian Bainan, the coins in the U.S. are issued by U.S. government. Paper currencies issued by Federal Reserve. What is the difference? Well, yeah, the coins are issued by the U.S. Mint. I think the Federal Reserve note by the Treasury, not the Federal Reserve. I tried to buy gold today from a local dealer and he was out. I did get some silver eagles. It was odd because his shop is rather large. He said 5 customers cleared him out this week. Michael Post, where do you see Bitcoin going in the next recession? Well, I don't really think of it, what it's going to do in a recession. I just think Bitcoin is going to go higher. Yeah, it's going to be around for a long time. I'm not sure if it's going to be in the recession or before the recession. Latest news on the ECB. I haven't really looked into the ECB. I know that I think Mario Draghi is leaving soon. I think this month, September. And I think Lagarde is going to be the president, of course, and she's very pro low rates, more negative rates. So nothing's going to get better. I noticed the hi, John the Glass. I noticed the euro's weakening quite a bit. It dropped. It doesn't look good in the charts. It dropped below 110 late last week. Robert Kim, biggest risk for gold is when someone figures out a way to make it at a low cost, like diamonds and sapphires. Well, no one's ever found that a way to do that. I'm not sure that is possible, but nothing is impossible. Basil McPherson, why don't pension funds invest in gold? I think because pension funds and Wall Street are very close together, and they thrive on fees. And when you buy physical gold, yeah, the dealer gets a cut, of course, because he has to run a business. But then you just hold the gold, and it doesn't pay anyone. So yeah, the financial sector doesn't like gold because of that, because there's not many transactions. Silver mining stocks, yeah, they will do well as well. Someone asked earlier, I think, about mining stocks. Uh, I'm not here to recommend mining stocks. There are different kind of mining companies. There's junior exploration, major exploration, and the senior companies that are already producing gold. My recommendation is to look at prospectus of big mining funds like Sprott or de Tocqueville. They publish their biggest holdings and get an idea from where they're putting their money. That's what I've done in the past. El Tomo, thank you for the super chat donation. Good evening, all. Congratulations, Mario, with 5,000 subscribers. Similar to the gold price, this channel is highly undervalued. Keep it up, Mario. Thank you, El Tomo. Yeah, did go through 25,000 subscribers. That is good. Yeah, just have to keep plugging along. Omro, many Argentines looking to US dollar, but they should use their namesake metal. Yeah, Argentina, silver, and also gold. I made a video this week about how, yeah, the dollar index is up about 2.5% this year, but gold is up almost 20% versus the dollar. So people who think that they need to be in the dollar because the dollar is going up, they're right in a way, but only versus fiat currencies. As I've said many times, fiat currencies, they're all sinking. Bill Johnson from Northeast Texas. I remember Bill Johnson was also a downhill skier. Back in the 80s, he won the Olympic gold. I guess you're not Bill Johnson, that Bill Johnson. Nice to see you here, Bill. SC, do you have an opinion about the mainstream media? Yeah, it's I never watch the mainstream media. The only time I get a bit of a view of the mainstream media is when someone on YouTube comments on it. I don't watch television anymore. I don't watch the BBC. I don't watch Sky, ITV. So yeah, I try to avoid the mainstream media. I wish I had avoided that much longer ago. Susan Chappell, thank you for the super chat donation. Yeah, Billy is enjoying his nap. Pablo Pina, what can you tell me about Boris Johnson, his meeting with the Queen to suspend Parliament? What is he? It's a normal thing, suspending Parliament. I think John Major suspended Parliament for over a month before the general election in 1997. So it's something normal. It's nothing really, even though the people that are against Brexit, they're making a big deal out of it. The Queen, usually 99.9% of the time, does whatever the Prime Minister wants her to do. So it's not a huge deal, in my opinion. Yeah, Billy is close to the edge. uh, Mauricio Lorusso, someone told me that Afghanistan is full of silver. Well, I think it's full of silver and a lot of other minerals. I think I heard an estimate years ago that there's over $1 trillion worth of minerals in Afghanistan. Bashar AT Sydney, it's up to you to decide how much silver you want to own. I mean, that's not a bad proportion. I personally would not hold as much in US dollars or Federal Reserve notes, because aside from being a currency that's devalued, all fiat currencies, they go to zero eventually. And aside from that, though, by holding Federal Reserve notes, you're helping finance the bankers and Wall Street, because you're actually buying a debt instrument. Even cash is a debt instrument, is a bill, right? So I wouldn't hold as much. Aaron Levy, hi Aaron. Attack helicopter. I know you're a gold bug and against the deep state, but what are your thoughts on holding SDRs in the coming recession? Well, individuals can't hold SDRs, so you can't. It's only governments or treasuries that hold SDRs. And SDRs are just a basket of the major currencies. That's all it is. It's another fiat currency. Basil McPherson, thank you for the super chat donation. He says, keep the videos going. Thank you for the encouragement, Basil, and the donation. V. Bjorn Gritson, do you think protests will be bigger if Brexit delayed or hard Brexit? I actually think will be bigger if it's a hard Brexit, because the people who think, because I think it's mostly left-wing people that are against a hard Brexit, even though there are conservatives as well. But I think it will be bigger, but I could be wrong. Could be wrong. Susan Chappell, might be a silly question, but if Warren Buffett has all those billions in liquid, what happens in the reset for him? Well, that's he still has 62% in stocks, and a reset should help stocks as well. So yeah, but I would, if I were him, I would also think about having precious metals. Maybe he is thinking about that. I think his partner Charlie Munger, he's talked about gold before. I think he's more into gold. I'm not too sure though. Emma Loft, what are your thoughts on e-mining gold in landfills? Yeah, I think people do that, but yeah, it's interesting. Apparently there's a lot of gold everywhere, because gold wears out. People's rings and jewelry. So yeah, I think there's people who find gold in sewage or everywhere. Force majeure, I think, of course, any central bank is really an enemy of the public, in my opinion. That's why I'm reading this weekend before I came on. There's a lot in the FT about what a Labour government in the UK would look like, how left-wing they are, how they want to redistribute wealth to the general public. And I'm not a socialist, but I can understand why they want to do that. People are sick and tired because we've had socialism for the 1% for the last 11 years. But in my opinion, that's not the way to solve things and to make society prosperous. The best way is to make government small, to have sound money and the rule of law. And unfortunately, it seems like we're not going to get that. William Birkenroad from San Diego. We've been purchasing lots of silver and some fractional gold when shares or property was sold at a profit during 2016, 2018 mostly. Basel III seems to have made a difference. Thoughts? I made videos about Basel III. I think it was a bit, I'm not too sure if it made any difference, Basel III, because it just says that banks can choose to hold gold as a, it's not a market-free asset, but a risk-free asset like cash. But yeah, and the thing is, Basel III has been implemented, it's continuous. It's being implemented, I think, until 2026. So I'm not really sure. I think what's made a difference for precious metals is the collapse in bond yields in the US and in Europe, especially. You've got $17 trillion of bonds that are negative yielding. And if you've got gold, gold doesn't shrink. You hold here. So we've got a silver coin and a gold coin. Unless you chip away every month a little bit off it, it's always there. But now government bonds are negative yielding, a lot not in the US, but in Europe. And in the US, if you take account for the cost of living, you have real negative interest rates as well. That's why I think gold is doing well. And the fact that the Fed also went from raising rates and unwinding its balance sheet to cutting rates. And I read recently that the Fed, even though they haven't announced QE, they've actually been buying treasuries. Their balance sheet has gone up. That's why I think gold's going up. Yeah, Philip Ward says many experts state that the third final leg of precious metals will peak in 2023, 2025. Yeah, I've talked about that before, looking at the dollar index and the cycles. I think the dollar index topped in 2017. And the average cycle in the dollar index is around 8 years, 7 to 8 years. So that makes sense. I've spoken about that before. Excuse me. Mark Santos, deflationary scenario. How is gold performing then? Actually, gold performs a lot better in the deflation than in inflation. So it's already performing. We've got a deflation of rates. It's doing well. In the 30s, you had the Great Depression, the biggest deflation ever experienced in the US, and the price of Homestake Mining, which was the biggest gold mining company at the time, was up 500%. In the deflationary collapse as well, a lot of companies go bust, so people go to the safe haven of gold. So actually, it's gold does well in deflation and inflation. Gold doesn't do well when things are stable and interest rates are stable as well, but it does well when things are not stable. Federal Reserve has committed treason. Oh, that's a good name, channel name. Thank you for the super chat donation. The free bankers monetary disequilibrium theory sounds like nonsense. All right. I haven't seen that disequilibrium theory. How's gold performing in Venezuela? Well, I would say it's performing even better than in the US and Western Europe. Olgi, what do you think Puppet Boris is going to do when the Brexit is closing in? Hard exit is not going to happen. I have a feeling it might happen to hard Brexit right now. The Europeans aren't budging, the EU. They're sticking to the old agreement that Parliament didn't vote for, because the Remainers here in the UK and a lot of parliamentarians are trying to stop a hard Brexit. And by doing that, it plays right into the EU's hands. So it's going to be down to the wire, I think. Susan Chappell in registration for Glint. All right. For those of you who are thinking of using my promo code or opening an account with Glint, make sure you use my promo code when you do, because if you try to do it after you've opened the account, they won't accept my promo code because of compliance reasons. My promo code is Mario Glint 79 for Glint Pay or the Glint app. I'm trying to get to all the questions here. There's quite a few people here today. That's good. So let's see. Dr. A and B. Hi, what do you think about Ray Dalio argument about debt cycle? Yeah, I haven't read that. I think latest piece by Ray Dalio. So yeah, I can't answer that at the moment. I know Ray Dalio. Yeah, he's a clever guy, but I think he hasn't done very well. He was short the bond market, but I'll have a look at that. So I'm sorry, I can't answer that. V. Bjorn Gritton, hard Brexit can be a scapegoat. I think so. And so is all the stuff going on between the US and China. I think the division in the US, there's division everywhere. And I think the powers that be want that. It's the old saying, divide and conquer. America going down the same way the Roman Empire, right? I'm not sure if it's going to go down like the Roman Empire. I just think in relative terms, it's, other countries are catching up. But I think America will be still a very strong country. It's a strong economy going forward. One ounce of gold is 33 million bolivars in Venezuela, I guess. Yeah, Tony, that's the promo code Mario Glint 79. Free bankers basically say if somehow the money supply shrinks, banks should start issuing out bank credit. Well, they already do. I mean, that's the way money is created nowadays, is through fractional reserve lending. When you get a loan from the bank, they put the money in your account. They create it out of thin air, which in my opinion is wrong. I wish I could do that. Oh yeah, Pablo, that's a good question. Any speculation in regards to Mnuchin introducing 100-year bonds, tossing it out publicly? Yeah, I think all that will do is, 50 and 100-year they're talking about is because rates are so low and the US has got so much debt. So it lowers the cost of borrowing, and I think he's trying to take advantage of fund managers. I don't know, be around 3%, 100 years, maybe 3.5. Check out Monzo card. People can send payments to card. Also will revive. Receive from your cash. Since the Federal Reserve and most central banks are attempting to drive their short-term rates lower to devalue their currencies, makes gold go up without restraint. Well, I think the other thing as well that's happening why gold is going up is because when they started this experiment in 08, 09 to save the system, uh, I think the investors and the public gave central banks the benefit of the doubt that they could get out eventually and normalize things. But now we've come to a point where we know they'll never be able to normalize. And I think that's why gold's going up, because there's no way out. They either inflate, like print and print, or die. And that's, in my opinion, good for gold. V. Bjorn Gritton, do you agree that a trade war with China needed to start to stop the moving out of industrial production? Some people think it's because Trump and the world are going back on a gold standard. And in a gold standard, if you run trade deficits, you run out of gold. So some people think it's because of that. Yeah, and that would bring back a lot of businesses and industry back to the US. It's all been outsourced, of course. A lot has been outsourced. Cyber, it looks like the West is ganging up on the strong economies, Russia and China, like they did against Germany and caused the World War. Yeah, I mean, I was reading that Russia has very little debt and has been doing really well. So you could have a point there. Martin Larson, buying food supplies or just gold and silver. Uh, I mean, there are preppers out there. That's not something I cover, but it's up. I think it doesn't hurt, of course, to be prepared in that way. Hi, Ben. You're late again. Don't worry. I'll be here for a bit longer. Been here for 39 minutes. No, my cheerleader, thumbs up. Everyone give Mario a thumbs up. Mash the like button. DAX trade war needed to stop the ripping off USA. I think so too. Yeah, I mean, for the last 30 years, even the American political class has been enabling China to do what they're doing. So Trump is trying to reverse that. Moni Jabber, crash before the year end. I've been thinking about the stock market because this is the biggest bubble ever that we've had since 2009. The everything bubble. It's huge. And I think it's a bit like a super tanker. It takes longer for it to turn. So if you look at the charts of S&P, Dow, and NASDAQ, we've been forming a massive top since the beginning of 2018. So there will be a crash, but when it's coming? Soon, I think, in the next 12 months at least. Could be we are coming into the season for crashes, right? September, October, November, the fall season. Who knows? Brexit. Well, my thoughts on Brexit. I think it's a good thing, even though I came here in 1992 because I had an Italian passport. I've been here since 1992, but I'm against big government. So having one less layer of government is a good thing. In this case, the EU, right? Hopefully, we'll start having less government here in the UK as well. But yeah, there's a lot of opposition. The establishment is very much against it, and they've been, like delaying it, trying to. They've been successful in dividing people, so it will be interesting. It will be, there's the saying of order out of chaos. So I think we could have chaos in the UK. And then, the powers that be will be asked to come back and put back order. So they like that kind of stuff. Philip Ward, do you believe hyperinflation is a real possibility in the UK? I do. Yeah, because of the mess that they've created. Usually, hyperinflation is when people lose confidence in the state and the currency that the state issues. So yeah, it's possible. G coin, your thoughts? Never heard of G coin. Sorry, Carlos. Nigel Farage for Prime Minister. Well, in the UK, we don't elect the Prime Minister. Basically, he has to be the leader of the party that has the most seats in Parliament. So Nigel Farage isn't even an MP, but who knows? In the next general election, his Brexit party could do well, but it would have to get a majority, and then he would be Prime Minister. Unlikely, though. Yes, Rise Above. I've been following that story. Catherine Austin Fitz, the missing 21 trillion. Yeah, it's probably all offshore. It's probably all in all the offshore hedge funds. A lot of it goes through the city of London. I would say a lot of the people involved um, with the Epstein case, I think there's a lot of money offshore through that. Yeah, so that's where the money is. I think one way to find where that money went would be to audit the New York Fed, because that's where dollars flow out of the country. They go through the New York Fed, and I think that's why they haven't, been able to audit the Fed. But the thing is that Catherine Austin Fitz says that FASB 52, I think it's called, Trump went on and signed it off. So now the deep state has got like dark money under Trump. That's why I don't understand Trump. I'm not really sure. Yeah, he's fighting the Chinese, but he does things like allow this theft of funds to continue by dark spending, or it's so I'm not too sure. Copper, I guess it historically it is a monetary asset. Yeah, copper, of course, it is, but it has been demonetized for a long time. Gold is the best investment, yes or no? Raise your hand. I there you can call it but I know what you mean. In a world of fiat currencies and currency mismanagement, it becomes an investment because its value goes up, right? Versus that failing fiat currency. Crypto Mike says he's got Ripple XRP. Yeah. Tom Taylor has been stacking for 20 years, so you've done well. I started out in 2002, so a little less, not as long as you. News for all. News for all. I think I recommend Seething Frog. Hope they will round up the criminals soon. I'm tired of waiting. I think everyone has something on everyone, so that's why they don't round them up. Well, nickel is already kind of a monetary asset because it's used in the coins. I saw nickel has gone up recently. Copper, who knows? Maybe. SC, I don't think that's old news. The Trump tariffs that was announced a few weeks or months ago. It's just taking effect today, so it's not a new tariffs. All right, I'll take a few more questions and then I'll call it a day. Been here for almost over 45 minutes. Yeah, unfortunately, news for all. I think the only way to get rid of these people is not through trials or through voting. That's not going to cut it. So you can imagine what the only way is, right? Pablo Pina, whatever happened to the Lynette Zhang interview? Well, I was supposed to do the interview towards the end of July, beginning of August. And then I was contacted by Megan and they had to postpone it, but I haven't heard back from them. So I don't know what's going on. Kevin C, is the price of gold in British pound tied to the price of gold in dollars? Yeah, I mean the price of gold in dollars is the main price, so it's just a cross rate. Yeah, of course, if the price of gold in dollars stay unchanged and the pound drops by 1% versus the dollar, then the price of gold in pounds will go up by 1%. Yeah, that's the Bode. Not sure how you pronounce that. The only way is the Hong Kong style, or the yeah, that's right. The thing is, right, these days it's so hard to do that in the US or in Western Europe, mostly because of all the draconian laws that have come on since 9/11, right, 2001. So it's very hard for people to get out there and do anything like protesting. Okay, last question. Attack helicopter. Would you look into the book Barren Metal by Michael Jones for me? Seems like it's right up your alley. Oh, thanks. We'll look at that Barren Metal. Kevin C, thank you for the super chat donation. Oh, just before I go, I'm going to start reading this book here, Medici Money, Banking, Metaphysics, and Art in 15th Century Florence. So that should be interesting. The Renaissance in Italy. Okay, everyone. Thanks for showing up and all the questions, all the super chat donations. I appreciate it, and I wish everyone a good rest of the weekend or morning, evening, wherever you are. And I'll talk to you later this week. Take care. Bye.